will you take some questions?
Yes, ma'am. I will take some questions.
All right.
I'm going to, this gentleman had his hand up first.
Thank you. The question I have is, so we have economic inequality, and I agree with that.
Speak up.
What?
Speak up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. How's this?
That's
All
it.
right. All right.
Carefully. Speak up carefully.
Careful, that's right. That's right. I'm here catching, you're trying to tell me.
I know.
Okay. You spoke of economic inequality, and I agree with that. What the hell is the cause of it? What would you say is the cause of it? Is the cause behind all
It's a free market. I mean, you can't, some people, I mean, there are people who succeed in some way. There's some luck involved. I mean, some people work hard, some people don't. I mean, some people, I will admit that I think some of it has to do with the development of technology, for instance. You know, now people can go home and watch the NBA or professional sports on television, or watch programs on television that are telecast, transmitted all over the nation. Years ago, they might go to a hall to just hear a speaker, and there'd be a few hundred people in there. Somebody just wrote about this, actually. It talked about a tremendous creator of wealth was the semiconductor, our computer technology. Some people have grown very wealthy. Now, I think they have created wealth that far exceeds the wealth that they possess. But I think to a certain extent, first of all, I think it's questionable that the inequality problem is as bad as some people like Thomas Piketty and others are saying it is, because there are some things that are not reported on tax data. For instance, people's 401ks and things of that nature are not included in the tax data that I believe was the source of the data that was analyzed. So I don't think the problem is as bad as stated. I think technology is a natural cause of stimulating some inequality, but I also think that inequality should not be the business of the government. I think poverty should be a concern of the government, yes, absolutely. But the fact that somebody has more than somebody else, I don't think that's necessarily a legitimate concern of the government. Maureen, you're next.
What's the libertarian take and your take on term limits?
I would vote for term limits, but I don't think it is as important as changing our voting system. Particularly, I'm in favor of proportional representation for legislatures that would allow.
I agree, but don't you feel that imposing term limits would eliminate that no competition?
No, because where term limits have been, I would vote for term limits, but it hasn't changed the composition of legislatures across the nation where they have term limits in state legislatures. It's still dominated by Republicans and Democrats, and I don't think things have changed that much. I will say this much: something that a plan I like, and if you're writing something down, write down genuinerepresentation.org/Congress. genuinerepresentation.org/Congress. There's a man in New York by the name of Saul Erdman, and he runs something called the Center for Collaborative Democracy. And he has a plan called Personally Accountable Representation. And you'd have multi-member legislative districts. Well, but before I get to that, he talks about how compromises that everyone could live with have been made outside legislatures, such as environmentalists and the chemical industry. They sent representatives to hammer out a plan that both industry and environmentalists could live with, and they did. It didn't go anywhere in Congress, but everybody was satisfied with the plan, and he says it's when people have representatives whom they know and trust and think that they are truly representing their interests, that is an important link between constituent and representative that we don't have in our democracy. So his plan is to have multi-member legislative districts people rank their candidates and there's a vote transfer process until you get to down to the number of people in the multi-member district. If you have a 5-member district, ultimately the top 5 go into the legislature. But then people in the legislature, the people who are elected, have different voting power in the legislature based upon the number of votes that they got, including transferred votes. And he argues that this would make much stronger the link between constituents and representatives, and would lead to, you would know that you would have somebody there in the legislature arguing for your interests and ultimately cutting the best deal for you and your interests in the legislature. And he thinks that this would eliminate gridlock, well, not necessarily eliminate gridlock, but essentially cure the gridlock problem that we have in this nation, where you have polarization going on. If you sent people who represented you to go cut the best deal for your interests. So anyway, but it's explained how he would change Congress and how Congress would be elected in that paper at that web address. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I guess I got 2 questions. Like immigration reform or immigration, do you support the current laws in the book? I heard you talk about it a little bit, but some, like what's happening right now with the influx of young people coming in here, no place to put them. Do you support paying $6,000 a month to take one in? And also, NAFTA, do you support that also, because you're talking about free market values?
Yes, I supported NAFTA. I mean,
You support it?
yeah, absolutely. I think
After companies moved out, after this went into law, I've seen a lot of people lose jobs over that.
I understand,
And
but
why
we
didn't you
need,
support it then?
but because protectionism is going to hurt the economy of the United States over the long run. It is an anti-consumer policy. We need a free economy, and a free economy means having businesses that can trade across borders. And I do not support the current immigration system, and I'll show you why. I thought immigration would come up in the Q&A, and I came across this immigration roadmap recently, and this is a representation basically of our current immigration system right now, the laws that govern immigration, and it's a mess, and I've seen it firsthand. My wife had a friend from France, and I heard her story about what she had to go through to come to the United States. She says, I hate the French, and she doesn't like a system that has 75% marginal taxation. She doesn't think the French work hard enough. She just wants to come here and be a part of this nation. She loves the United States. What she has had to go through to get a green card is ridiculous. And right here, and let me tell you something. It is impossible. It is impossible for a Mexican person who doesn't have a job in the United States and doesn't have a family connection to come here legally. It's impossible. You can't tell people to go get in a line when there is no line. And that's what we're dealing with so many people who just want to come here and earn a living and be a part of this great nation. And it says, like right here at the top, do you have a job opportunity in the U.S.? No. Do you have a family member in the U.S.? No. Are you eligible for a diversity visa, which means you come from a nation that doesn't send too many immigrants to the United States? No. Can you invest $500,000 to $1 million? No. Sorry, you don't get in. If you hit those no's, you don't get in. And you've got a situation now, I just heard the other day, I was talking with an immigration expert, with the current system, if somebody in the Philippines who wants to move here and has family here, wants to join their family here, it's a 25-year wait. There is a 25-year-long line for somebody from the Philippines with family here to immigrate to the United States. The system is a total mess, and it's because and these children are coming up. You want to relieve the problem? End the drug war. That would be a lot of these children. There's one nation, I believe it's Honduras. It's Honduras or Nicaragua. And I forget which one it is, but there is one nation that these kids are not coming from, and it's because it is a peaceful country that is not suffering the adverse effects of the drug war. And that would be a big step in the right direction to cut down on the number of children coming up here. And I will say one other thing. Even if there may be, and I would hope that the cost can be reduced. I really don't like the idea of paying $6,000, but if somebody comes here over the course of their lifetime, the economic benefits from somebody coming here will outweigh the initial costs of having them here and boarding them as a child. There is no point, there are zero instances in the history of mankind where a greater population has led to less prosperity. Yes?
This immigration thing, you know, I guess I had a weird thing on it, because I've had the honor of living in a lot of these foreign countries that you're talking about, like France. You know, I lived 4 years in the Middle East. I even got to live a year in Djibouti, which is a hellhole. Okay? It's in the Horn of Africa. And if you go there as a Christian, they will cut off your head right now. But you know what? Every place that I lived and I went to, the majority of the population are unemployed. Unemployed. You go to the Mideast, 70 to 80% of them don't have a job. You know what their job is? Going to a madrasa. You know what a madrasa is? It's a school to hate Americans. It's to hate Christianity. Now we're talking about we got to take all the world here and we got to save them. Guess what? You're talking 5 or 6 billion people.
No, that's not true. It's not like it's not that people are all going to drop their lives and move here. Let me tell you something about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico,
American citizens.
but my point is this: we've had open borders with Puerto Rico now for about 100 years.
Have you ever been to Puerto Rico? It's beautiful.
Yes, I have been to Puerto Rico.
Have you ever been to Kwajalein?
No, I haven't.
Kwajalein Atoll? That's an American possession too. All those people there are American citizens.
But
have you been to Guam? That's right off Japan. All those people are American citizens. They all have jobs.
It's not that all of these people are going, first of all, a lot of them can't afford, and I'm certainly not arguing that we subsidize their transportation to come here.
In Afghanistan, the average lifespan is to 35. They die at 35. You know why? They live in squalor. They live in mud huts. The rich, though, live to 70 and 80 years old.
Yeah,
you should go around the world. We can't save the world.
I'm not proposing that we save the world.
Yes,
believe me. No, I'm not. No, sir. No, sir.
These people are crazy. They'd rather kill you and me than to do anything. And you know what I used to go with? I used to go with truckloads of food.
The vast majority of those people are not going to come here. I will take.
They're on their way.
No, they're not. But
guess what? I'm one of the few people in America that had. I got 2 of my bodyguards citizenship in this country. Do you know why?
Because people who assist the U.S. military should not be left behind.
Well, they had death sentences, served against them, just like I had.
Right. Well, I know that's.
I could speak Dari and I could speak Pashtun fluently at one time. I went through the villages and like that, and guess what? Those people want to kill you and me. They can give a shit. That's just my opinion, and that's where it is right there. All those people are coming here. You say not.
I don't.
You gotta save the children.
I don't. No, I don't. Again, if somebody is a security threat, I will tell you something about Puerto Rico. We've had open borders with Puerto Rico now for about 100 years. The immigration really didn't get going to over 50 years. It's taken 100 years with Puerto Rico, open borders. It's taken 100 years for a majority of people of Puerto Rican descent to be living in the United States. And they're just right next door. It's not that all of the world is going to drop their lives where they are to come here, especially when it's going to have to cost them to come here. It's going to be up to them. It's certainly not up to us.
That's not completely true anymore, because our administration, this administration is helping to bring them here.
Before I call on Noreen for a second time, does anybody else have? Yes, sir.
What you're proposing about immigration, I think is a very idealistic thing.
Yeah, it is ideal.
And in in a world that you could do this, I think what you're going to be hearing more and more, it's a very lofty concept, but people in this country are a little bit fed up about turning the other cheek. We have been overwhelmed. What is happening, what is going to happen, we're in the midst of it, I'll finish in 2 seconds and then you've got the floor back. The balkanization of the United States of America, we've got people in here that are overwhelming this country. They're bringing their own social values, their own mores, their own religion, everything else. They are not assimilating in this country because they know they don't have to.
Sir, that
People are getting.
no, I don't agree. We are not being overwhelmed by these people. You know what? By the way, let me tell you by the second generation, people are speaking. Have you heard about the Spanish language television network? I don't know the name of it, but this is true. There's a Spanish language television network that is now programming in English because they can't get the second generation Hispanic children to watch in Spanish. They are being assimilated, sir. That proves it. And I don't accept your premise. I do not accept your premise. There is plenty of data that says otherwise. Yes, sir.
I got 2 things real quick. Number one, I read a book one time about the tragedies in this country before the drugs laws were passed, and the cocaine and the damage that it did to society and stuff like that. So your premise on, if it's not harming somebody else, I don't quite agree with you there. And the other thing is, you got something near and dear to me that irritates me a lot was when I hear, I don't think the words now, Social Security and entitlements.
Yep.
Okay, I've been paying Social Security, and there's a lot of people on Social Security didn't pay anything into it, and I really hated that. They passed a law that sometime back they changed the regulations. If somebody over 65 came into this country, legal or illegal or what have you, they could draw Social Security, never paid into it. I've been paying into it since I was 17 years old. I don't consider that an entitlement, and I don't like it to be referred to as an entitlement. When I put in, they spent my money, it's not there.
Sir, under the Cato Institute plan, there is people are grandfathered into Social Security. Okay.
I just don't like it being my Social Security. I don't like being referred to as an entitlement.
It was, regardless of how you refer to it, you paid a tax. That's what it was.
No,
and
it
if yes, it was. It was a tax. It absolutely was a tax from the beginning. It was yes, sir. And not only that, the FDR administration talked out of both sides of their mouth about the whole thing because they talked about it being social insurance. This is true. They talked to the public about it being social insurance, but then when it went to the Supreme Court to argue the constitutionality back in the 1930s of Social Security, their position was, what, social insurance? Well, we didn't say social insurance, it's a tax. They told the Supreme Court it's a tax after selling the American people on the concept that it's social insurance. People, the advocates of Social Security back when clearly talked out of both sides of their mouth to sell the program to the American people. With respect to the drug war, sir, the problem is government violence. That is, the government instigates the violence in the drug war, and that is what should end. And people own their own bodies. I do think that it should be taxed, and the externalities, the negative impacts of drugs should be paid for by taxes on the use of the drug. I agree with that, but I do not think government has the right to instigate violence among people who are doing something peaceful. And I will, sir.
2 things. You said something about the young people at the border.
Okay.
Our Presidente, he made an announcement yesterday that he wants to get many of these children into foster care. Well, I've been in foster care for over 20 years. We had more children than families. We need more families for these children. So if we bring these children across the border, put them in foster care, what our Presidente is saying, put our kids aside and give the first choice to the ones come across the border. That is crazy. That's insane. We got to take care of our own children first. Children are hurting. And let me finish it with this drugs thing. As an educator, we put all this money in the drug education. For what? For them to legalize marijuana in certain states, it's going to grow. And the way you control people is dope them up and You've got somebody that you can control. You can't refute that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't accept that. I do not accept that.
Sir, I've been in education, I know what drugs do to kids.
Okay,
We'll
all
put
right,
it
you're,
into our residence.
let me speak to the, I'd like to speak to the immigration issue for a second. Here is the current system, okay? It sort of boiled down to this right here, all right? And it's very complicated. I went to the Tea Party Patriots website today, teapartypatriots.org, and looked at, and looked at what teapartypatriots.org had to say about immigration and the policies here. And you know, one of the things here I just absolutely do not agree with here. It says there already is a legal path to citizenship for those wishing to immigrate to the United States. There's not. I mean, there is no line for some of these people.
Well, they should change
There
it.
is no line for some of these people. You cannot, there is no line for some of these people. But above and beyond that, here is what is on teapartypatriots.org. It says, real immigration reform. An assessment of what a true immigration reform package would include would be, real reform would prioritize securing the border. 2, real reform would represent the people's voice. 3, real reform would be fair and constitutional. 4, real reform would be understandable. 5, real reform would benefit the economy. 6, real reform would promote American values. Now, I agree with that, okay? But these are just platitudes. What I want to see is if the Tea Party really wants to promote immigration reform, it has to move beyond platitudes. You have to come up with specific proposals how you want to change the immigration system, and that doesn't do it. And is it going to be this, or what is it going to be? I'll admit the devil's in the details, but who could really argue? Yeah, I want to secure the border, but you can't regulate a black market. If you open it up but control it, you will secure the border. That's the best way to secure the border is by, and not only that, you are creating a situation. The current situation is created because when people come here, once they're here, they don't want to leave. If you had a more open system, people would go back and forth. They wouldn't come here and stay. Absolutely. They'd stay here because they don't want to get caught coming back into the country. That's a big reason they stay.
Why would they want to leave? We take care of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I have two things with immigration. This is my son, he's going to be 29 years old soon. Okay, so we're talking a long time ago when he was in 3rd grade at a city school. In his classroom, he was the only one that spoke English and did not get free lunches. So this has been going on a long time. And they keep saying that the children, these aren't all children. These are almost adults that's coming across this border. In the countries they're coming from, they've had to steal, murder, and whatever, just survive. And I do feel sorry for them, but we've got enough of that crap in our own country.
Well, I think, again, that, and it says right, what's interesting is that it talks about immigration being in the past. How's it stated here?
Can I interrupt you just 1 second?
Sure.
To tell you that the Tea Party Patriots is one of three national Tea Party groups.
Okay.
Okay? They do not by any means comprise or represent every Tea Party in America. Trust me. Just so you know that.
I'm okay. I understand. But I mean, we believe this country was founded by people who immigrated here from other countries, enriched our country throughout history, and continue to enrich it today. I'm just saying that I understand that. Not all is smooth, but I do think that in the end, from an economic standpoint, with our aging population, one of the things is having younger people here come in from other nations absolutely, is something that is something that is absolutely there. The taxes they pay, the products they make, will absolutely help fund the benefits for older people in our aging society. Yeah, the man in the back there has had his hand up.
Yes.
Well, I'll give you a break. I want one thing to say about immigration. That if you go back far enough, the immigration laws were, to a large part, a public health program. And that's one of the main things we've lost. But you don't have to comment on that. Also, on your question of the issue of getting more than one representative, have super districts that have more than one representative, the impediment is the federal court system. The federal courts are full of people who don't understand mathematics and don't understand science. You would be amazed at the criteria they use for redistricting. When they say equal districts within a state, they don't mean plus or minus 50, plus or minus 100. It's plus or minus 0. These people are just complete ignorance when they have no concept of how accurately you can estimate the population. I'm a statistician, I know about that. But again, that's just a comment.
Okay, is my understanding that districts can vary in size a little bit?
I was consultant to the Bush administration's advisors.
He's working in government pretty
They had given up on federal. They were going to try to do that in some of the states.
Okay, I'll call.
And that's what we were working on.
Okay.
That's not my main question. And this one I would like to. I'm a member of VCDL, which means I know a lot of libertarians, and a lot of libertarians in the organization for its gun rights. We have a lot of other people in the organization as well who represent different parts of the society. I was shocked during the recent gubernatorial race to hear some of the things the libertarians were saying about E.W. Jackson. I understand that they don't like traditional marriage, they don't like
Well, that's not true.
or they don't like any attempt to badmouth gays, and this leads them frequently to dislike a lot of the traditional churches. And I heard one person that I respected and knew for many years tell me flat out, she had a threshold, she would never vote for a preacher. And what struck me after the fact, I was upset because this particular preacher happened to be black, and he was pro-gun and he was pro-liberty. But what struck me is, this is a rejection of black culture. And is just as racist as people who reject black skin.
No, sir, I don't accept that. I don't agree with
You
that.
don't accept that. It's true, however. It was
No,
true
that's-
of all
that's-
libertarians
that's-
I knew. It dampened the libertarian vote for E.W. Jackson, more of them voted for Puccinelli, and voted for Jackson, far greater.
That's your opinion, and I don't agree with it.
I
Noreen?
did the facts.
Back to
I am a
immigration.
statistician, I can count.
No, that's not a fact. That's an opinion. And if
Numbers generate facts.
that's your opinion.
Preferences
Noreen?
generate
Back to
opinions.
immigration. I agree that there needs to be immigration reform, but until that time, don't you and the libertarians believe that we should stick to the laws we've got?
I think we ought to change the law. Yes, but they don't.
Yeah,
no.
they need changing, but
They-
until they are changed, we need to enforce the laws we've got.
But they need to be
Which means that those
changed.
that come across the border illegally should be sent back whatever their age. That is the law.
Yeah, but my understanding is there are something like 12 million undocumented.
And your point?
How are we going to deport 12 million people? I don't think that's feasible. It'd be far better to change the law and apply the new law to the people who are here. This nation is not about to deport 12 million people. It's just not going to happen. But go ahead. Yeah, I don't think it will.
Yeah, relative to that, picking up on what you said, assuming that we start out by enforcing the law while we're working on changing it, how would you handle the current crisis that we have using pragmatically using the approach that you propose, how would you handle the problem we have on the border? Now, keep in mind, last week, unknown gunmen on the Mexican side of the border fired heavy weapons suppressive fire on a border post so that illegal aliens could cross the border unmolested. Wait a minute. And so how would you handle the situation that we have on the border where it's totally out of control and at the same time deal with the people that have been here illegally?
Change the law. That's
Not
what
an
do you mean?
answer.
What do you mean it's not
It's not
acceptable?
an answer.
It is an answer. The law could be changed. The law could be changed by midnight
To do what?
to institute a system
What, just say they can all
Haven't had
stay?
an answer.
to allow people to immigrate to the United States, and for those people to stay here who are here. All right, the law could be changed by midnight. I absolutely.
Under what condition?
The bill passes the U.S. House, the U.S. Senate,
No,
signed by the president.
Well, you said health, criminal background, 20%.
That would happen after the law would be changed. The law would be changed to that, and it could be changed by midnight. You are this is what you are speaking of is an direct result of prohibition, of people not being able to
No, what
come
we're
here
talking
legally.
about is the direct result of non-enforcement of the law.
No, sir, no. The law is again is the ultimate source of the problem. If you didn't have a prohibition against people coming here who are going to be peaceful, who have again are not a security threat, do not have a criminal background, and do not have a serious communicable illness, if you change that law, most of that, you wouldn't have had that incident that you just referenced the other day. The prohibition of movement of people is the proximate cause of that incident.
I'm going to say one
You can't
thing.
assume that all of them that have come across illegally, or even the ones that are currently here, are law-abiding.
If they're not law-abiding, they
healthy.
should be deported. Yes, I would agree with that.
I'm gonna say one thing before Margaret gets to ask a question, because she hasn't asked one, and then Stan will have a question as well. Because I'm gonna let everybody who hasn't asked a question ask.
I'm sorry, I have to leave in about 5 minutes, unfortunately.
But there is no other country in the world that's allowing borders to be crossed like this. Margaret, go.
That's not an argument against it.
Well, my position on this is probably a little bit different than anything anybody said since this evening. One of the things that I have been concerned about for a long time, people coming here illegally, you're talking about what they produce and how positive the effect will be on our economy. People who come here illegally at this point in time provide Mexico with the largest source of their income outside of their own oil fields. It's the second largest source of income for the country.
Did they
of
legally
Mexico.
earn it?
What?
Did they legally earn that
Well,
money?
They sure don't pay
Well,
taxes.
they're not
They-
here legally and they're not paying taxes.
But-
They're working at something.
Well, yeah, they're creating some social good right there. They're working at a job.
But it is
I
not
mean,
benefiting this country.
no, the trade, free capital flows are good for all people.
A real negative effect on our economy.
No, I don't agree.
All right, I'm gonna let Stan ask. I guess it's gonna be the last question.
What is it you don't understand about illegal?
Make it legal. I don't understand the emphasis. This is
That sounds like a twist.
no. I'll tell you. No.
Is.
No, I don't understand. What I don't understand, is if you've got a problem with the illegality of something, what is it that is wrong or immoral other than violating the law? Okay, now let's leave that. Other than what is it? What is it that these people are doing wrong? What is it that I mean? That what if what? Hey, you know what? Suppose you're let me ask you a question. If your wife goes home and tears the tag off the mattress tonight, are you going to call the cops on her?
There's no law against that.
No, yeah, there has been. I don't know now, but there used to be, and as far as I know, there still is. But there are some laws that need to be changed, and that is the important thing right now is that the immigration laws need to be changed. the laws are the ultimate source of the problem. They create the black market in people, they create incidents of violence. That's what's driving this.
Law now, so.
Pardon?
You're just changing the definition
It-
so that
What if they come here and they raise a family and they don't take welfare and they create a job, create a business, something like that? What's wrong with that?
No, they're here illegally.
The law, have you ever heard the phrase, the law is an ass? I mean, it applies to some laws. Certainly laws are appropriate against murder or rape or robbery where there's a real victim. But there's no real victim here. There are people who just want to come here, live peacefully, have a better life than in the war-torn nations of Mexico and Central America. That's why those kids are mainly coming here. Most of them are trying to escape violence that is trying to threaten their lives. And all they want to do is to have a better life and live in peace.
So anybody that says nothing right, they can ignore?
How many are you gonna take care of?
I do not, I will admit, I don't intend to adopt any.
You gonna ask the taxpayers to pay these people up?
No.
Just, what other country on this earth would allow what's going on here?
There's pretty free immigration from country to country in Europe. In terms of border crossings in Europe, and so, but that's not an argument against it, sir. Just to say that, well, other nations aren't doing it. I'm saying that this economy will benefit this world. No, it's not. No, it's not, sir. Canada takes a lot more. It doesn't have the restrictive immigration we have. I know that.
This is certainly a hot topic. Certainly a hot topic. And I know that you have to leave.
I do.
And I do, though, appreciate your coming.
Pleased to be
And
here.
I know that William's going to have a booth at the Frederick County Fair.
My website is billredpath.com.
And I'm sure that he would love to have all of us come and visit and talk with him next week. So, Becky, I don't know.
Okay, short question?
Sure.
Where do you worship God? What church do you worship God in?
I'm not religious, ma'am. I'll have to. I'll admit that.
It's very good.
No, it's not true. There are many religious libertarians. That's not true. There are. Absolutely true.
I would like to thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.